Stop. Before you scroll past this, I need you to hear something that most men will never admit they don't know. And it's not what you think this video is about. This goes deeper than that, much deeper. I've spent over 20 years as a relationship psychologist. I've sat across from hundreds of couples, young couples, long married couples, couples on the edge of falling apart, and I keep seeing the same pattern, the same silent breakdown, the same missed connection, and almost every single time, it comes back to one thing: touch. Not the kind of touch you're thinking about. I'm talking about the kind of touch that happens before anything else, the kind that communicates something words never could, the kind that either builds a woman's trust in you, or slowly, quietly, destroys it. And here's the brutal truth. Most men are getting it completely wrong, not because they're bad partners, but because nobody ever taught them this. There's no manual, no class, no conversation, just assumptions. And assumptions, gentlemen, are silently killing your connection. So today, I'm going to change that. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself right now. When was the last time you touched your partner, and she truly leaned in? When was the last time a simple touch between you two felt like something real, something alive? If you're hesitating, that pause is important. That pause is telling you something. Here's what I see in my practice constantly. A man comes in and says, "I don't know what happened. She used to respond to me differently. Now it's like there's a wall." And I ask him, "How do you touch her?" And he looks at me like it's a strange question. Because in his mind, he touches her, he hugs her, he's present. What more is there? Everything. There is everything more. Women do not experience touch the way men do. This isn't opinion. This is neuroscience. A woman's skin has a significantly higher density of nerve receptors than a man's. Her body is wired to feel more. But here's the critical part. Her emotional brain and her physical body are deeply, intricately connected. For a woman, physical sensation doesn't come first. Emotional safety comes first. Read that again. Emotional safety comes first. A woman does not open physically before she opens emotionally. That's not how her nervous system works. And when a man reaches for her body before reaching for her emotions, even without realizing it, she feels it. She may not say it. She may not even consciously recognize it. But her body does, and her body responds by pulling back. That is the wall men keep hitting, not because she doesn't love you, but because the emotional door hasn't been opened yet. So why do men keep missing this? Why does this disconnect happen even in loving relationships? Because men are wired differently. Men tend to use touch as a destination. Women experience touch as a journey. Men reach for connection through physical closeness. Women reach closeness through emotional resonance first. And then physical closeness follows naturally. Neither is wrong, they're just different. And the gap between those two approaches is where most relationship breakdowns quietly begin. I remember a woman, I'll call her Sarah, who came to me after 14 years of marriage. She sat down and she said something I'll never forget. She said, "I don't feel like he sees me anymore. I feel like he sees what he wants from me, but not me." Her husband was a good man, devoted, hardworking. He touched her every day, but his touch had become routine. Automatic. It communicated habit, not intention. And women, I cannot stress this enough, women feel the energy behind your touch. They feel whether you are truly present or whether your hands are there but your mind is somewhere else entirely. That subtle difference, it is enormous. One of my patients, a man in his late 50s, described something to me that perfectly captures this. He said, "I realized one day that I had been touching my wife the same way I greet people at work. A pat on the back, a quick hug. It became a handshake disguised as affection." And when he said that, something shifted in the room, because he finally understood what had been happening. His touch had stopped being a conversation. It had become a transaction, and she felt every moment of it. Let's go a little deeper here, because understanding why this works the way it does will completely change how you approach your partner. Oxytocin, you've probably heard of it. It's called the bonding hormone, the trust hormone. And here's what's fascinating. Women release oxytocin significantly more readily than men do in response to gentle, non-demanding physical touch. A soft handhold, a warm palm on the lower back, a light touch on the shoulder. These aren't small things. These are neurological events. These gestures literally trigger a chemical response in her brain that says, "I'm safe, trusted, seen." But there's a condition. The touch has to feel genuine, because here's what most men don't know. The moment a touch feels pressured, rushed, or agenda-driven, oxytocin doesn't release. Instead, cortisol does. The stress hormone. Her body goes from open to guarded in seconds, and she may not even know why she suddenly feels uncomfortable. She just does. This is why intention matters more than technique. It's not about where you touch, it's about how present you are when you do it. I want you to picture something. Think about the last time someone you deeply trusted rested a hand on your shoulder during a hard moment. Remember how that felt? That warmth, that weight, that quiet signal that said, "You're not alone." That is what conscious touch communicates. And that is what women are craving from their partners. Not grand gestures, not perfect timing, just presence. If what I'm sharing right now is landing somewhere real for you, if you're starting to see your relationship through a new lens, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Because every week I break down exactly these kinds of truths. The ones nobody talks about, the ones that actually change relationships. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's talk about the 7 zones. I want you to stop thinking about these as body parts. I want you to think about them as doors. Each one, when approached with the right awareness, opens something in her, emotionally, neurologically, deeply. Let's go through each one. Zone 1, the hands. This is where most men start, and most men rush. But her hands are one of the most emotionally communicative parts of her body. The way you hold them says everything. Do you hold her hand or do you just grab it? Do you intertwine your fingers slowly or does it feel like a reflex? Research on long-term couples shows something remarkable. Couples who continue to hold hands, intentionally, not automatically, report significantly higher levels of emotional intimacy. Hand-holding releases oxytocin. It reduces blood pressure. It literally signals safety to her nervous system. And the details matter. Warm hands, unhurried hands, hands that feel like they chose to be there. When your touch on her hand communicates, "I want to be here with you," she feels it in a way that goes far beyond skin. Zone 2. The nape of the neck. Right where the hairline ends and the skin begins. This spot is wired directly to the nervous system's stress response. When tension accumulates in the body, and it always does, this is one of the first places it settles. A slow, gentle touch here, with zero expectation, zero agenda, communicates something profound. It says, "You can exhale. You are safe with me." I had a patient, a man in his late 50s who had felt invisible in his marriage for years. One evening, no planning, no strategy, he simply walked up to his wife as she stood by the window and rested his hand gently on the back of her neck. She paused. She took a long breath. And she turned toward him with tears she didn't expect. That one touch reopened a door that years of words couldn't, because it wasn't about words, it was about presence. Zone 3, the lower back, between the waist and the hips. This zone carries profound symbolic weight. It represents stability, grounding, protection. A gentle hand here, never gripping, never controlling, sends one silent but powerful message: "I've got you. You don't have to carry this alone." The beauty of this zone is how naturally it fits into everyday life. Walking beside her, standing together in the kitchen, moving past each other in a hallway. These small passing touches accumulate, and over time their accumulation builds something unshakable. Zone 4, behind the ear and beneath the jawline. This is a zone of deep trust. You cannot rush here. You cannot arrive here without having opened the other doors first. But when trust exists, a light, warm touch in this area communicates something extraordinary. One of my patients described it this way: "It wasn't about desire. It made me feel valued, like I mattered to him specifically, not just as a woman, but as me." That is the distinction women are always feeling for. Do you see a woman or do you see her? Zone 5. Between the shoulder blades. This is the place on her body she cannot see, cannot reach, cannot protect. And when you rest your hand there, slowly, warmly, without agenda, you are communicating. "I see the parts of you that you can't see yourself. And I'm here." This touch is not romantic, it's not sexual, and that is exactly why it carries such immense power. It's pure presence, pure care. And her nervous system knows the difference immediately. Zone 6, the inner thigh near the knee. I want to be precise about this one because it's widely misunderstood. This is not a zone of physical escalation. This is a zone of transition, of emotional closeness and respect existing in the same moment. A gentle, deliberate touch here, unhurried, respectful, communicates something that many women rarely feel. "I am here with you, at your pace, on your terms." Most men rush past this emotional checkpoint. They skip the trust building that this zone represents, and in doing so, they lose the very connection they were reaching for. Patience here isn't weakness. It's the most powerful thing you can offer. Zone 7, the lower abdomen. This is perhaps the most sacred of all 7 zones, and I use that word intentionally. Touch here is never casual. It is symbolic. It is a meeting of instinct, trust, and deep emotional surrender. When a woman allows your hands here, placed slowly, warmly, reverently, she is not simply allowing physical closeness. She is trusting you with her inner world. Approach this zone only with sincerity, only with patience, only with the understanding that what she is offering you in that moment is something extraordinarily precious, and treat it as such. Now, I want to talk about something that separates the men who understand this from the men who simply nod along and then go back to old patterns. Consistency. One conscious touch can open a door, but it's the repeated, daily, integrated gestures that build the kind of trust that sustains a relationship for decades. This doesn't require special occasions. It doesn't require perfect timing. It requires integration. Touch her hand while you're watching something together. Rest your palm on her lower back as you walk past. Brush your fingers along her shoulder blades when she's thinking. Be present in the small moments, because for women, the small moments are never small. They are the entire relationship happening in miniature every single day. I worked with a couple, married 22 years. Things had gone quiet between them, not hostile, just distant, routine. He started doing one thing differently. Every morning, before anything else, he held her hand for 30 seconds. Just that. No words, no performance. 30 seconds of genuine, unhurried presence. Within 3 weeks, she told him something had shifted. She didn't know what. She just felt closer to him. That's the power of consistency. Women often can't articulate why they feel more connected. They just do. Because emotional memory is incredibly strong. Intentional touch accumulates. It builds a reservoir of safety and trust that changes how she experiences everything between you. I want to speak to you directly now, not as a psychologist, just as someone who has watched too many good men lose incredible connections because no one ever told them this. You are not broken. Your relationship is not beyond repair. The distance you may be feeling right now, that quiet sense that something is off, that she's somewhere you can't quite reach, that is not permanent. It is not a verdict. It is a signal. It is her nervous system saying, reach me differently. It is her emotional world saying, I need to feel seen before I can feel close. And the remarkable thing is, you have everything you need to answer that signal. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need grand gestures or dramatic moments. You need to slow down. You need to be present. You need to let your touch carry your intention clearly. Because when a woman feels truly seen, not just desired, not just appreciated in a general way, but specifically individually seen, something opens in her that nothing else can open. And that opening is the foundation of everything you're both looking for. Here is the truth that ties everything together, the truth that changes men who really hear it. Intimacy doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins in the kitchen, in the hallway, on the couch, in the 30-second handhold on a Tuesday morning when nothing special is happening. That is where real connection is built. That is where trust is either created or quietly eroded, day by day, touch by touch. The men who understand this, who truly internalize it, don't just have better physical relationships, they have deeper ones. Relationships where the years don't create distance, they create depth. Where growing older together doesn't mean growing apart, it means growing into each other. That is what's available to you, starting right now. If this video opened something in you today, if something I said made you think about your relationship differently, I want you to do one thing. Go touch her hand. Not right now, watch the end of this first, but today, with nothing behind it except presence and intention. And notice what happens. Then come back here and drop a comment. Tell me what you felt. Tell me what changed. Write "I see her" in the comments. And let's build a community of men who actually understand what connection really means. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the moment. Every week I go deeper into the psychology of real relationships, the things nobody says out loud but everybody needs to hear. Hit subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss it. Because the next video, it covers what women need emotionally from men that they will almost never ask for directly. And trust me, you need to see that one. I'll see you there.